Hello and welcome back to Well Played by The Skim. I'm Blake Lou Merwin.
And I'm Caroline Hendershot.
Caroline, oh my God, finally, welcome to the studio. It's your first full episode of Well Played as a co-host. How are you feeling?
So excited. Hopefully listeners don't get sick of my voice too quickly.
They will definitely not.
I mean, if my siblings are listening, they definitely will.
And they will roast you for it.
Of course, youngest child problems. But no, I'm excited. I couldn't be more hyped to be in studio. It's all great. It's all good vibes today.
Yay. Speaking of good vibes, I have this shirt on that Caroline asked me about off air, and I just want to get ahead of it now before y'all come roast me in the YouTube comments because it does look like a 5-year-old drew it. I have an affinity for ugly, cute things.
Okay.
And this is, I think that falls into that category, but my friend made it.
See, it's annoying because, like, you're saying ugly, cute, like, you can pull it off. It's not ugly.
Right,
like,
but it is
cute.
sort of, again, a little juvenile, but I'm gonna rock with it today.
I'm into it. I like it a lot.
If you like it, let me know in the comments, all right?
Don't let the haters bring you down. Coming up later in the show, we have a guest, Erin Foley, to help us sort through all of those NFL storylines coming out of the weekend. She's amazing.
She's so funny.
We had a great time with her. She's hilarious. But for now, we're going to start today's episode, as we always do, with Playing the Field.
It's time for a roundup of our favorite stories dominating your feeds this week. So let's get into it. It's time for Playing the Field. We begin Playing the Field today with a story about none other than Tom Brady. Again, keep saying this man's name. It rolls off the tongue at this point because he keeps coming up in our Playing the Field segments. But that's because he's everywhere.
Well, yeah.
The patron saint of Playing the Field and all things petty, Tom Brady. Yeah. This week, current Tampa Bay Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield, he made some comments on a podcast regarding the environment that Tom Brady created when he served for the same role from 2020 to 2022. And Mayfield alluded to the fact that Brady kind of created an environment that was a little high-strung and stressed out, in quotes. And Tom Brady clapped back, and here's what he had to say on Sunday's broadcast, actually in the booth. So, like, while he was on the clock at work, here's what he had to say.
I thought stressful was not having Super Bowl rings. So there was a mindset of a champion that I took to work every day. This wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids.
So Mayfield has since responded to Brady's clapback, saying that his comments were taken out of context. He looked a little remorseful in the press conference after. But Caroline, what do you think about this dust up? And do you think Mayfield has a point about what he was saying about Tom Brady creating a stressful environment?
I see both sides of it. Tom Brady 100% made the stressful environment. I mean, it's Tom Brady. There's literally nothing more this man loves than winning. He's one of those. He's very similar to like the Michael Jordan Last Dance doc where Jordan was like yelling at his teammates and being like, this isn't the kind of work that I accept. This, like, give me more, that kind of thing. He's going to scream at you, and you might not be his biggest fan, but he is going to get you the Super Bowl ring.
He's probably going to win.
Yeah.
But also, I have this feeling that Tom Brady only can operate in stressful environments.
Totally.
I don't think he knows what fun is.
I understand that.
Because as he said in the quote, he said that he would take his kids to Disneyland if he wanted to have fun. But honestly, I don't think that's how he has fun. He has fun by fucking bench pressing his max with his boys. And we know that because he did it on YouTube. And that's how he has fun. I don't know if you know that he has a YouTube channel now.
I don't. I'm like, so,
you don't need to watch.
I'm so not a
Tap
YouTuber.
out.
Yeah, I'm going to just exit stage left. No, but he is only having fun when he's the best.
Oh, yes.
Which, like, he is so competitive. I kind of understand it. I am also competitive. Not that competitive. But yeah,
he's girl bossing too hard, though, I think.
He's girl bossing very close to the sun.
Very close to the sun.
Yeah, but I understand Baker kind of walking back his comments because he definitely, in my opinion, when I heard it, it wasn't really taken out of context. He was like, it was a stressful environment. It wasn't that fun.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like cut and dry.
So do you think, some people I was reading on Reddit, of course, I'm obsessed with Reddit.
It's a great place.
It's one of my faves. Like, people were like, why is Brady punching down on Baker Mayfield? Like, he knows he's the GOAT. Like, why does he feel like he has to prove himself to Baker Mayfield? Like, why did he have to make this comment on air? Like, why couldn't he just see the comment,
let it roll off his back?
Yeah. Like, why do you think he chose, like, this comment to go in on?
That's a really good point. I think it's probably because he just gets defensive.
Yeah.
Of, like, I literally won a Super Bowl ring. What do you want from me?
I carried this team.
Yeah. I came into a totally new team with a totally new offense, and then I was the best. So it worked. you're welcome. Like, I think he was just
what have you done?
Yeah, exactly. I think he was like, what the heck? Appreciate me for what I did. Like, I'm good at this sport for a reason.
It's like your parents when you like shit talk your parents and like everything I've done for you.
Mm-hmm. And they're just like, you're so ungrateful. I can't believe you. The whole 9 yards. So, yeah, interesting story. For our next story on Playing the Field, we turn our attention to college football, specifically the 4-0 University of Nevada Las Vegas Rebels, who suddenly have found themselves without their quarterback this past week. Starter Matt Sluka, who transferred in the offseason after several successful years at Holy Cross, go Crusaders, my brother went there, we love Holy Cross, announced he would forgo the remainder of the season and find a new home for next year. The reason, $100,000 in NIL payments that were promised but never paid. Okay, so in case anyone missed it, the NCAA athletes were only recently granted permission to make money off of their own name, image, and likeness. That's NIL. And it has led a lot of schools to arrange large payments to incoming players and being like, come here, we'll give you this much, etc. It's also resulted in an unprecedented number of transfers in recent years. However, in the case of Sluka and UNLV, we're looking at a case of someone actually stepping away from a team mid-season due to unfulfilled promises. So, Blake, what did you think when you first saw the story?
Well, first, it's just so fascinating, like paying. It's a weird, I'm sure it's going to come up again, just like paying student athletes. Yep. It's definitely going to come up again. But I think my first thought was just like, Matthew, sweetheart, love you. I'm happy you're standing up for yourself because I know that I wouldn't have. But also, like, have you never heard of getting things in writing? I know maybe that's a little harsh. I don't know, especially because he is so young and perhaps impressionable. But it's like, I feel like that's the first like rule when you're making like a deal.
I know. It's okay. First of all, you should never break your word. My dad always said the strongest thing you have is your word. And as soon as you lose that, you lose a lot. So listen to Carl Hendershot, ladies and gentlemen. But I will say that he couldn't sign any contracts because when he was first promised the $100K, because he was still finishing his degree at Holy Cross. So he had to wait until after he enrolled at UNLV to then sign the contract for the alleged $100K. There should have been something else that he could have signed, I think. But yeah, messy situation.
I have to admit, like, I don't know the intricacies of NIL arrangements, stuff like that. But I do feel like this is just pointing to the fact that there are just a lot of cracks in the system.
Totally.
And the way, I mean, it's pretty recent. I think it was like 2021 when they started allowing students to be, I guess, paid this way. And I just feel like with all these cracks, it's just like a thing that nobody wants to touch, but it desperately needs like regulation or just oversight onto how students are getting paid. But I'm also curious what you think, because you were a student athlete. Like, did you know people? I don't know. Were you at college at that point?
No, I wasn't at college at that point. But I will say that I rode in college. So let me tell you, I was not going to make any money. But very off the beaten path sport.
She's not like the other girls.
I wasn't bringing in a lot of money for the school. However, I do think that like the NCAA had been really profiting, and obviously the universities themselves have been profiting off of like these 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Completely unfair. They deserve to be paid. It's just like, okay, how can we make a more regulated, organized system so that they're still getting what they deserve and these empty promises aren't being made where like a 19-year-old kid gets duped into being like, okay, I'll transfer for you, and I'm a good quarterback that has brought this team to 4-0, which is like the best that they've been doing as of late in the program's history. And then you're like, oh, just kidding. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna actually back out of this deal.
I mean, I'm glad, like I said, for him for standing his ground in the name of securing the bag. I think that's very important, something that 19-year-old Blake definitely wouldn't have done.
No, Caroline wouldn't have either. But also, like, you have to realize that this kid might not make it to the NFL. Like, this could be the most money that he would ever be able to make in the sport of football. So it's like really unfair that this university is like trying to profit off him and then not pay him what he deserves or was promised or whatever. And also $100K. I know that's a lot of money. That's like not that much money in the NIL world. There's like Livy Dunn, who's the LSU gymnast, who's making like millions. Damn. So it's just like, I don't know.
Feels a little icky.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't like it. It's leaving me with like a bad feeling.
Bad taste in your mouth. But we'll see how the season shakes out. I mean, he's not going to be playing until this gets sorted. So
no, so it's like, how desperate are you for either being stubborn and dragging your heels on both sides, but he can back out because he's played less than 4 games, right. So you keep your year of eligibility. He has 1 year left, so he can keep that year and go anywhere else. He can't go this year. He'll have to wait until next season starts. But it's not really messing with him. It's more so messing with the program's start and their record. So not great.
Following.
Yeah, very interesting.
So next up on Playing the Field, we're talking about track, specifically the new women's track event that's attempting to change the game entirely, created by Serena Williams' husband, Alexis Ohanian. And yes, that naming configuration, that order was intentional because to me, first and foremost, he is Serena Williams' husband.
As you
Thank
should
you.
be, yes.
This past weekend, 36 competitors came together in New York City for Athlos, a first-of-its-kind meet featuring the largest purse in history. Winners were eligible to win $60,000 for each event, a huge jump from the previous record of $30K that top events have offered in the past. But aside from the money, this is what I would be in it for. Mm-hmm. The athletes weren't just fighting for gold or silver medals. No. They were fighting for bespoke Tiffany crowns. Oh my God. I don't know if you saw a picture of them, but they were in like Swarovski crystal bedazzled. No, they were very refined, sleek.
Okay.
Almost like metallic crowns. And they were made by Tiffany & Co., which is a crazy partnership for a first of its kind track event.
How much would you be wearing this crown? Like you're hyping up this crown. Would you be like casually wearing this crown on the daily?
No. I would probably be like unhinged and go on Instagram Live and be like,
you'd be like, look at my crown.
Also, apparently, the crowns cost $150K.
Oh, casual.
And they cost, collectively like more than the gold medals at the Olympics.
Oh.
Which is so insane.
Totally.
Yeah, so there was a lot of funding.
Raising the stakes at this event.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Honestly, who knows? Maybe by the next Olympics, we won't be giving out medals anymore.
It'll just be Tiffany
crowns. Bespoke Tiffany crowns. But yeah, the goal of Athlos is to capitalize on the growing popularity of women's sports and offer a more legit payout for female athletes. And this is something that Alexis Ohanian has actually championed for.
Yep.
With Serena Williams, but I actually want to read. I'm gonna reach for my phone real quick and read a quote from you guys. That's actually on our social media page for the Skim. So basically, Alexis Ohanian said Olympia, his daughter, was running around in her Alex Morgan jersey, and I said, wouldn't it be great if she played on a national team one day? And Serena was like, not until they pay her what she's worth.
That's why Serena's our queen.
Proceeds to say, Alexis Ohanian says, and I was like, touche. Okay, challenge accepted. And that's what motivated me to buy a team and help be part of the change. Not only is he creating a track event, but he also ended up creating the Angel City FC, which is in LA, which is a soccer club, women's soccer club. So he is really putting his money where his mouth is, which is, I think, what we've been wanting all along, is just bringing this capital to women's sports because it's legitimate. People want to support the events. We've seen what happened with the WNBA this year.
Perfect example.
And also it felt like it has the legs to be something of the US Open, the Olympics, because it was very social friendly. Maybe not. I was seeing some coverage on Twitter and stuff, but like Megan Thee Stallion was there. She gave a little performance.
Big names.
Shonda Rhimes was on the sidelines. It wasn't like nobody was there. It was fans plus stars. I also know Flava Flav was there.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just like it has potential. I mean, who knows? Maybe next year when we're doing this podcast, we will be doing a whole segment on Athlos and the looks that people were serving.
I would love that.
Yeah, but Caroline, what do you think events like this say about the trajectory of women's sports in 2024? And will this help mark a shift in the financial viability of fringe sports like track? I mean, you were talking about off the beaten path, Miss Rower.
Yes.
Tell us what you think.
Miss Rowing. I think that, like, particularly with the Olympics, right? No one gets more excited. I think the big attractions with the Olympics, it's always like swimming, track and field.
Yes.
Like watching any track event during the Olympics is exhilarating.
And gymnastics. And the commonality, but between all these three though, is that like they're kind of one, like we only gather for them one time every 4 years, basically. Like the masses, I will say.
Yes, the mass. It gets the most attention at once every 4 years. Similarly, rowing. Literally nobody remembers that it exists until the Olympics, which is fair. It is a very niche sport. I get it. But my sister actually was an Olympian in 2012.
Okay, casual.
I know, it's like really casual for me. I'm just like, she's my sister. It's like,
and she was, what sport did she compete in?
She was a rower. She rowed in the pair, which is 2 people, 1 oar on each side. But people think, oh my God, these Olympians, they must make so much money and it's like they're superstars. Like, no, she, like a lot of rowers, she lived with a host family, like in Jersey where their facility is. And she had a job for most of her training. So it's just like people think that, oh, because you've made it to the Olympics, like you're set.
Yeah.
It's not the case. So you need to keep investing in women's sports, particularly the niche sports like track and gymnastics and all of these ones that you don't see for the remainder of the 3 years in the Olympic cycle, because the athletes need it. Yeah. And then the more that you invest, the more people build it and they will come. Like, come on, people. It's clearly popular. Like, you got Flava Flav going.
That was really cute. I will say, so Gabby Thomas was there. She won a gold medal at the Paris Olympics this year.
Perfect.
She is everything to me.
I'm obsessed with
her. I know. I was bummed, though, that we didn't see I was bummed we didn't see Sha'Carri.
I know. That would have been nice.
But it was cool because, like, we talked about Sprint off air, the docuseries that Amanda and I watched, and it's like clearly there is some interest in track and field. But when you were talking about, Olympians being set financially and stuff, it's like, okay, but only maybe like the Noah Lyles or maybe even the Sha'Carri and like the Gabby Thomases get those sponsorships or whatever that give them financial stability. So it's really cool to see this come to life. And as far as Alexis Ohanian goes, so he's just, I want to say here on the podcast, he's my white boy of the month. He is just creating strides for girlies in sports. But also, I don't want to just give him all the credit. Like, I'm not going to give a man all the credit for, this is just what he should have been, people should be doing, period.
Right.
But I'm happy that he's creating the space. And especially, he's a girl dad. He's a girl dad.
He also, like, really got into women's sports when he married the greatest female athlete of all time. So, like, I get it. Like, that was his intro.
His investment is authentic, and that I appreciate.
Yeah, he's a sweet boy. We'll keep him.
And also, as you guys know, Reddit. Thank you, Alexis Ohanian, for co-founding Reddit, too.
Yeah, her dream. That's really why you're a big fan of him. Before we move on to Tuesday Morning Quarterback and bring in our guest, Erin Foley, I just want to acknowledge the passing of beloved NBA Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo. The NBA announced Monday that the 58-year-old Mutombo had passed away as a result of brain cancer. In a public statement, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said, quote, Dikembe Mutombo was simply larger than life. On the court, he was one of the greatest shot blockers and defensive players in the history of the NBA. Off the floor, he poured his heart and soul into helping others. So he was really heralded as one of the greatest shot blockers in the NBA history, one of its most formidable defenders. Mutombo was also remarkable for his humanitarian work, especially as the NBA's first global ambassador and a champion for African athletes. So very sad. Yeah. He was like very young, and it's just really sad when someone who is so pivotal in helping really go to bat for the sport and spread the sport kind of globally passes away.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yes, for sure. When we get back, we'll be joined by comedian Erin Foley, host of the Her Lights podcast, to talk NFL football. Do not go anywhere.
All right, y'all. We are thrilled to be joined by the very funny, very talented Erin Foley. She is joining us remotely. Hi, Erin. How are you today?
Nice to meet you ladies so early in the morning.
I know. You're in LA, right?
I'm in LA, yes.
Woof. So it is a whopping 7 o'clock in the morning for Erin. Trooper.
Yeah, we appreciate the
commitment. For you. Yeah, it's sports.
The commitment to the cause. All right, Erin, before we tackle all the NFL sports and topics that we have for today, tell us about your podcast, how you first got into sports, all that jazz.
Yeah, I've been a crazy sports fan since I was a child. Played a ton of sports. Played basketball in college. I think that's like my first love. Actually, my first love is football. I had 2 sisters, and they were playing dolls, and I was literally throwing the football to myself. I don't remember. That was my childhood. So yeah, I just loved for so long, and then about 10 years ago, I started a podcast, primarily just all sports, and then kind of hit the stride doing women's sports, paused that, writing gigs, pandemic life, and then picked it back up again about 5 months ago. It's called Her Lights. So it's just dedicated to women's sports. And I interview comedians, athletes, coaches, and we just kind of pick a topic each week depending on the guest. And just geek out about women's sports. And it's just so much fun. And I'm obsessed.
So your first love was football. Who's your NFL team?
Well, I don't want to brag. We're so good. It's the New York Giants since birth. And I'm sure we'll get to that. But one more quick plug. I'm going on tour with Her Lights. I'm doing a 5-city tour.
Amazing.
I kick it off in, I'm just blanking on the city, Seattle. That would be it. So it's Seattle, Chicago, New York, Minneapolis, Portland. Everything's on herlights.com. So I'm really fired up.
Any of those cities you haven't been to that is like on the bucket list?
I've been doing stand-up for so long that I've been to all those cities probably like 10 times each.
Amazing.
But I pick them because they're the coolest cities.
Nice.
Smart. Very smart woman.
Yeah,
We
love fun.
Love that.
They're big sports cities too.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be in New York. Maybe we'll catch you there. So today, this is our segment called Tuesday Morning Quarterback. And so for today's Tuesday Morning Quarterback, it's all about the numbers. We have a lot of stats to throw at you. Starting with the 4-0 Kansas City Chiefs. And a crazy stat about their starting quarterback. After yesterday's game, Patrick Mahomes has now been down by exactly 10 points on 12 different occasions. His record in those games? 12-0.
He can't be stopped. He's truly a magician. Mahomes completed another improbable come-from-behind victory despite an injury to top wide receiver Rashee Rice. And that injury, which is likely a season-ending blow to his knee, came at the hands of Mahomes himself.
Friendly fire.
Yeah, not great. He collided with Rice after an interception in the first quarter of the game against the Chargers in Los Angeles. So, Erin, how do Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs keep getting away with this?
Well, I mean, this was the story. It just makes me laugh because I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I am obsessed with Mahomes like everybody else is. And then, he's just, I found myself a couple years ago, like putting on Monday Night Football to watch Chiefs Dolphins. Like I'm an NFC, woman. So like when am I watching Like I don't care. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't take my eyes off him. Like he's so fun to watch. He makes football so much fun. But last season there was the whole big story. No, who is he going to throw to? Everybody's hurt, everybody went down. Not enough running game. And then somehow someone would come off the sidelines, just put a jersey on, and Mahomes would find him, and then they, you know what I mean? So they will dig up someone from their practice squad, mm-hmm. and that receiver will probably be in the Hall of Fame in 4 years. So I'm not worried at all.
It's almost like that throw from earlier this year. I think it was a preseason game where Mahomes hit Kelsey with like a behind the back throw, and he was like, he wasn't even supposed to run that route, and I was doing it because I was mad at him. And then it ended up being like the best trick play of the preseason. It's just annoying. He's so good.
He could like bowling ball it and then someone would pick it up. Like he doesn't, he just needs like just basic talent around him. Most people need like glorious best mm-hmm. receivers ever. Like I could be his wide receiver and we would have a shot.
So you think that they'll be fine even if Rice is no longer in the equation?
Absolutely. Like, they're going to obviously it'll be, the bigger games, maybe like, Bills and stuff, like mm-hmm. they might feel it a little, but I'm telling you, they will literally grab anyone. I don't know who their 4th, 5th, 6th receivers are, but they will grab it. They will grab someone and they'll be fine. I'm not worried.
It's also interesting because Travis Kelce led all the receivers with 89 yards on the day, despite many people were like, he's washed. Like, get rid of him. Is he back? Or did he never really leave?
He never left, and also I think it's that new haircut and mustache. I don't love it. I'm a big fan of his. I don't love that look. I don't think dudes. I mean, listen, dudes aren't my department, but the shaving the head, like I don't know.
It's a bit 2010.
What do you guys think about that look?
I'm just gonna say that like Travis Kelce, when I'm having a bad hair day, it will fuck me up the rest of the day. It would fuck me up for the season too. And so,
Yes.
and that's my take.
I mean, I'm a curly-haired girl, and so I just get really mad whenever men try to complain about having a bad hair day because I'm like, I straightened my hair for 2 hours and I walked out the door and it's immediately looking like a poodle. So please don't try and have this conversation with me.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he just needs to grow some hair out from on the sides, and then
he'll just be the perfect.
He'll bounce back.
170.
Perfect tight end.
Another number that had many people talking after Sunday's NFL action, 82.1%. That's the completion percentage for rookie Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. It's the highest completion percentage for any quarterback through the first 4 weeks in NFL history, besting Tom Brady's mark of 79.2% set in 2007. Perhaps even more impressive. Through 4 games, Daniels has led the Commanders on 23 scoring drives, but has only thrown 19 incompletions. Think about that.
He is just having himself a time. Like, I am always in the pro camp of like sit the rookie, let them kind of learn, develop, let them adjust at their own speed. He was just like, nope, I'm good.
I mean, if you got it, you got it.
Yeah, like if you got to flaunt it. I mean, he's doing a great job.
Erin, do you think Daniels can continue to live up to this hype, and could he even be a legit MVP candidate just 1 year removed from winning the Heisman Trophy?
I don't like anything about this because I can't stand the Commanders. And the fact that
I like that you're taking the personal route here.
I'm enraged. I'm absolutely enraged at Daniels' capacity to do everything on the field. I don't want to face this guy for the rest of my life. What is that? A 15-year span? If he's, yeah, I guess I'm just like really filled with rage. At just really really this is just the Giants,
of course,
but. At least I thought, well, when you face the Commanders, you go, I have a shot. You know what I mean? Like, they're never that good. They haven't been that good in a very long time. They've had a quarterback carousel. Like, that team is just crumbling. It's always crumbling internally, business-wise, organization-wise. And now I'm like, oh, wait, I can swear, right? Because you swore.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
I did do that.
Crap, they have their shit together. And this is so annoying for me.
Yeah.
Because at least if you look at the schedule, you're like, well, I'm going to get, we might have a chance at the Cowboys because they're completely, like, they're always a hot mess, but they usually win. But the Commanders, I'm like, we usually got this. And now we don't. and I, of course, he's so impressive, but I don't know. Like they, it's not like they have the best team around him, but like, God, he's, I'm just annoyed because he's good.
I get it. He's just so accurate, which I think is the most impressive thing, because for a rookie to be able to come in and do, I would say, the bare minimum, it's like, okay, good job. You transitioned from college to the NFL. You are doing the bare minimum. That's great. But he's just making incredible throws in incredibly like tiny windows, and it's just really fun to watch. Sorry, not fun to watch. It's impressive.
It is. It's honestly, it's super impressive because you always hear that about the NFL, that it's like the hardest transition to go from college to pro. And then the quarterback, everyone's like, yeah, like you said, try to sit for a year or two because the game, they say the game is like, steroids, like it just everything's coming so fast, and he's so poised and he can run. So congratulations.
It hurts to say.
Commanders fans.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay. She's not thrilled. Okay, let's turn the page. We have another NFL number that I don't think anyone had on their bingo card. Sam Darnold with 11 passing touchdowns, making him the only quarterback in the league with more than 10 touchdowns. Erin, how surprised are you to see Darnold just come out so strong this year with the Vikings?
I'm actually excited about this because I'm not like a diehard USC fan at all. I'm team UCLA. I've kind of adopted them, but I started watching him at USC and I really liked him. Plus he's got like a fun family story. They like to surf, whatever.
Oh.
I get sucked into like stories.
Of course.
So then I kind of followed his path, and then I got sucked into the JJ McCarthy, Michigan. So, Vikings, it's just Minneapolis just feel good. I'm sorry, they just feel good.
Yeah.
Although I was very excited when the Giants beat him a couple years ago. So then he goes down and Darnold takes over, but that team has been so complete. They have been doing well like year after year. I love the coach. O'Connell's done like such a great job. I finally feel like he's in a system that works for him. He's been talented this entire time, and he's just been sort of crapped on. Every team he goes to is just terrible. weight of the world in New York, Carolina. Now it feels like it's like a balanced team, and he's thriving. And I'm really happy about this story.
Yeah. Do you think this has been there all along, this talent with him? I know you kind of just said that, but it's now kind of pulled out of him even more with a receiver like Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's like the whole system. It's like when you've got a solid defense, it takes the pressure off offense.
Totally.
When, like, I don't think he's carrying like the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he can just play. Think of all the pressure you're under, to be like the face of the organization, the team the team around you is like, so you see that a lot in sports too, not only football, like it's just not the right fit. And then, a player gets traded and suddenly they're having like MVP numbers. And you're like, well, what is that about? I think he's finally got like the right fit. So I'm really happy for him. I'm a big fan of his.
Also, I will say, this is a complete side note, but the Vikings Stadium, playing in there has got to be the most electric feeling ever, because first of all, the stadium is so sick and it's covered, so no elements of the outdoors, but the Skol chant, so cool. I think it's like the coolest.
I've never been. That sounds like a fun time.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to get Erin there.
Okay, our next number is not one you love to hear. 15 penalties. That's how many flags the New York Jets drew on Sunday against the Denver Broncos, including 5 false start penalties. Following the snap count struggles, head coach Robert Saleh addressed the issue, saying the team's complex cadence might be to blame. Caroline, I remember we were kind of reading about this story, or I was reading about this story, and I had to stop you for a little question. Can you explain this one for me, especially because you do come from the Jets? What does he mean when he says that the cadence is something the team needs to be addressed? Because I was like, what does that even mean?
So cadence is like the hut hike before the ball is snapped from the center to the quarterback. So it's like each quarterback has a different set of words that they use. I think each one is very unique, but the way that they try to get the defense to get a penalty is they try to say it at a different speed, or like maybe a little different inflection so that they jump off sides. But Aaron Rodgers is notorious for having a very hard one, and he can use it to his advantage.
This feels like bird calls or something. Like, I never would have thought there would be like a word to describe this. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Bird calls.
Aaron Rodgers got a hard bird call. Can't understand it. Can't decode it.
Exactly.
But Erin, what did you think about the Broncos rookie quarterback Bo Nix getting his second win despite only 90 yards, excuse me.
Yeah, the Broncos are kind of surprising. I haven't sat down and watched them because why would I? It's the Broncos. They've just been so bad for so long. By the way, I do want Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to get it together. I mean, when you have to deal with all those penalties and you're just trying to get the ball down the field, like, it's just, for me, it's like my sportsdom is New York over everything. You know what I mean? So the Jets are I'm like, the Jets and the Giants can't be this bad. You know what I mean?
We need at least one. We need one.
So yeah, I guess Bo Nix with the Broncos. I'm really scraping at the barrel here. I do not want to, but okay. The Broncos have been so, oh my God. I think they've had 75 quarterbacks in the last 6 months. So, okay, let's go with this guy.
Let's go. Question mark.
Sometimes you're like, wait, who is the quarterback of the Broncos?
Yeah.
There's so many times where I'm like, wait, who's that guy? And I literally have to look him up. I'm like, okay, he played at the University of Puget Sound in the 80s, and we're like digging him up and putting him on.
Honestly, very fair. There has been quite the carousel there. Our final number for today in Tuesday Morning Quarterback, 8 days. That's how much older quarterback Anthony Richardson said that his mom is than backup Joe Flacco. So Anthony Richardson's mom is only 8 days older than his teammate Joe Flacco. So Joe Flacco had to take over for Richardson in the 27-24 win over the Steelers following a hip injury. The 39-year-old Flacco took over and threw 2 touchdowns. After the game, Flacco told the country there's no way that Richardson thinks he's cool, especially considering the fact that he's basically the same age as Richardson's mom. Erin, how does Flacco keep this up? Because I have seen Joe Flacco do crazy things, and he just seems to keep being able to stay on top.
I love this. Like last year when they I get emotional, of course, with sports, and it was a story of him working out with his dad and his brother.
Always the family
sobbing.
stories with Erin.
just sobbing. Just absolutely. When someone's like, well, my dad and I, we worked out in the off season, just sobbing.
Yeah, of course.
I've lost my mind. So wherever Joe Flacco goes, I'm like, I guess I'll cheer for the Colts. So I love this hyperbaric oxygen chamber, compression socks. I don't know, mainlining vitamins. I don't know what he's doing, but he's looking fresh, and I love it's the same age as his mom. That is amazing. There's so many your mom jokes in that locker.
Oh my God,
right?
So many. It's just
so many.
Open field day. Do you feel like it's a little bit of the Renaissance League with Andy Dalton playing really well, Flacco playing really well? Like the old guys are not old. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone. The older guys.
Yeah, they're like 30.
I know.
Put some respect on it.
The older guys of the league are really showing up and showing out this year.
I think it's one of these things too, where those guys were like, superstars in their prime, right? So now they're like, they've got $1 gazillion in the bank. They've already, they won a ton. And they're just like, okay, I'll do backup and do cruise control for 3 or 4 years. So then they get on the field. They're like, well, this is fun. There's no pressure. You know what I mean? Like, What does Andy Dalton have to prove? What does Joe Flacco have to prove? They're just like, I'm going to sling the ball around to these 12-year-olds get back on the field. I think they're just having like the time of their lives. They just seem like it's like fun for them.
Yeah, they're loose.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to watch with them. I fully enjoy it.
Erin, we are so glad we got your insight, your takes on this Tuesday morning quarterback. But before we go, we want to hear your thoughts about the WNBA playoffs. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm glad you asked. You have an hour and a half. I'll make this quick. I have been a Liberty fan since before the Liberty organization came together and started playing basketball. So I can't watch those games in public. I will lose my mind.
Yeah, lots of screaming.
It's just I look like I have a problem. I rock back and forth on my yoga ball. I pace. People are like, hey, Foley, you want to go catch a game? Absolutely not. Don't call me. I just
out of office.
So they have to win is what I'm saying.
Okay.
They have to win. I love the depth. I love Sabrina took her game up a notch. I really feel like this is absolutely the year. Vegas doesn't need 3. We don't have any. So that's fine. I'm not up at night thinking about Tiffany Hayes being an X factor. It's fine. I don't have a problem. And then on the other side, Connecticut grabbing game 1. That was a little bit of a shock. Minnesota looked absolutely discombobulated. That last play, I was just like, wait, I don't even know what was happening. So that's going to be super interesting. And just also the fact that Alyssa Thomas is dating Dwana Bonner in the backcourt. I can't get enough of that. So I'm thrilled. It's such good basketball. Listeners, if you haven't been watching women's basketball, get in it right now. It's like the highest level, and it's just really super exciting.
Well, we know where to find you. You will be holed up in your apartment watching these playoffs. Won't bother you, won't text you, won't call you. But thank you so much for joining us today. Just one more time, can you tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. So all the Her Lights stuff is on herlights.com. I do new episodes every Tuesday. And then the tour is also on herlights.com, and my stand-up is on erinfoley.com, erinkfoley.com. But you can find it all on the interwebs.
Amazing, Erin. Thanks so much. We appreciate the time.
So nice to meet you. Thank you, guys.
So we conclude today's episode with a segment we're calling the Shot Clock, a whirlwind roundup of all the headlines coming out of the WNBA this week. There are many. And with the playoffs already well into the second round, there's so much to cover. So we're going to try and keep these as brief as possible. Caroline, you're first on the clock. What do you want to talk about?
Okay, I'm talking about the fans who have been actually showing up to the games. The WNBA announced attendance numbers for the 2024 regular season, and they smashed previous records. So crowds were up over 48% over last year, with a total of 2.3 million people attending games. So the average arena had 9,807 people on hand. Last year, that was roughly 6,615 per game. So like a huge jump in the room. I think that, once again, build it and they will come.
I'm literally just going to get that tattooed on my forehead.
Yeah, we might as well. But I just think it's so important because obviously the more you push the sport into the spotlight, the more it's going to be seen, but it only works if it has the support from fans and like people showing up and really getting into it and being part of it. That makes the whole sport grow.
It really is like a feedback loop.
Yeah.
And like the players don't want to be playing to an empty stadium. And we'll get into it later, but I was watching the 60 Minutes with some stars in the WNBA. And they were saying, a couple years ago it kind of sucked, but now it's just like that energy. Even when you're like not in, I should really save this for later. I'm going to save this for later. Is that okay?
That's totally fine.
I want to get into my segment,
not
my segment, but my bit, because it also has to do with fans, but not maybe as happy.
Yeah.
So basically, following their first round series, the Sun and the Fever players called out unacceptable behavior from fans, including racist comments and harassment against Black players. I did see Dejanay Carrington posted like a screenshot of a really horrible, unexcusable, email that she got from somebody, which is like, also, like, why are you emailing? I don't know. Yeah. Unacceptable regardless.
Yep.
Connecticut Sun forward Alyssa Thomas said, quote, "In my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. Basketball is headed in a great direction, but we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names." She specifically called out the Indiana Fever fan base, which we know is the team that Caitlin Clark belongs to. Clark has, within the past couple of days, like totally denounced these comments and was just like, you guys aren't fans, you guys are trolls, and it's unacceptable. But also recently at this past game, Caitlin Clark had a run-in with a courtside fan in the first quarter, and she instructed basically like security to remove this person from the game and pull them aside. I don't know what was said. I don't think that
it wasn't
anybody knows what's said, but just by like watching her interact with not only security but also her teammates on the court, like it was clear that it was something really not right.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think, Caroline? Are people using Caitlin Clark as an excuse to direct hateful speech toward players? Like, this is also something we've seen literally since she joined the league this year.
I think a good chirp is always funny, right? Like, okay, love that. You're feeling passionate. You want to get a little chirp in for your team because you feel like that's the way that you can contribute. Sure. When you cross a line and start treating players like they're not human, it really grinds my gears. Like, first of all, you can't do what they're doing. That's why you're sitting in the stands. So, like, let's just take a moment and reflect on being a good human and being a good fan and contributing in a positive way. I get it. If the other team is smoking your team and you're, like, really mad, of course you're going to be like, come on, like, you got this or whatever. I don't know.
I've been there.
Yeah, we're fans.
I've seen my dad on the sidelines yell at me playing soccer.
Oh, God, yeah. PTSD.
I know he got
but, like, there's a line. Also, when people like go into the DMs or to emails and start writing these like really hateful things, what are you doing? Like, would your mom be proud of that? Probably not. So like, I don't know, maybe don't write that, because that's one, embarrassing, and two, it's just disgusting. So like, there's no excuse for it. I do think that people are starting to feel their oats a little bit, like using Caitlin Clark as that excuse. And because I know there was a lot of attention with her, like maybe not getting the penalties called on her when she got like roughed up and whatnot. But that's not an excuse for you to say horrible, nasty things.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like
using her. She's not a scapegoat. And I'm glad that she is obviously taking a firm stance. And I hope that the WNBA does more to address it. I think it's been a problem where they've not done enough. So, we'll see with these playoffs. But, she's not playing anyway. But
I do think, like, when you see that kind of stuff happen in the NBA, it gets more attention. Obviously, I get it. Like, those players, the games maybe are a little bit more publicized in general, but I just think that it's like, okay, we have to figure out, this is a big problem and we have to figure that out going forward, because like, I forget who said that, but Alyssa Thompson said like, basketball's headed in a great direction. But that's something that needs to
nip that shit in the bud now before it's like, you don't want to make that a cultural problem or a cultural thing.
Yeah, no.
At the beginning.
I will say I'm going to go back on the clock. Our Spike Lee getting into it with the Vegas Aces star Kelsey Plum, that I'm here for. Spike Lee can do it though, because he's not being disrespectful. So that's a big differentiator. He's famous for his courtside antics at the Knicks games, and he brought that attitude to Barclays this week in game 1 of their second round game against Liberty. Lee and Plum were seen kind of jarring back and forth. Plum did not say what was said to her.
She actually was like, I can't say
what
we were saying.
But she did say, like, it was all good. I told him to, like, speak up. Or you got to say it louder or something like that.
It's also so funny just, like, seeing this little Spike Lee on the court side and, like, tall WNBA players. Like, he's a fearless man.
Oh, I wish I had his confidence. Oh, my God. Like, just really swinging with no fear of being hit.
Yeah, and you can tell it's playful because, Plum was giving it right back.
Yeah.
And as she should. She, like you said, she's the one on the court and he's the one on the sidelines.
Correct.
It was so funny when I was reading about this and I was, like, looking into Spike Lee's fandom of the Knicks and whatever. I was listening to this commentator probably from, like, the 90s or something, and he was just like, Spike Lee forgets that he's not on the team and that he doesn't actually play. And I'm like, yo, he's so right.
You're like,
he looks like he's about to enter the court, but
you're
it's
like every fan ever who's like, shoot it, and it's like, no, really, that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. No, duh. But no, I'm here for the friendly banter. I wish that I had, like, the swag that Kelsey Plum does when she was like, gotta speak up, speak up.
Can't hear you.
I would be so bad at trash talking. That's also why I'm not a professional athlete. That's the only thing holding me back. But yeah, no, I love her. She's great.
Finally, we round out the shot clock with a story from Caitlin Clark's appearance on 60 Minutes. This is what I was about to get on my soapbox about, but I stopped myself. But basically, she admitted that her welcome to the league moment came during a hard scream from Liberty Forward. She actually had her eardrum ruptured during a routine collision. Y'all should watch that tape back. It was just so crazy. It happened so fast. And it didn't look like an eardrum rupturable collision, but those things happen fast. She recounted, quote, I remember when we were in New York and Jonquil Jones set a good screen on me and I actually ruptured my eardrum just on a screen. She's a tremendous player, but I think that just speaks to the physicality of the league. Sure does.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah. What does it say about Clark, though, that she's saying that this is her most memorable moment from a truly historic rookie season? I mean, we know she's been setting records.
Our girl is humble and she is a hard worker. And here's the thing. If that's your most memorable moment from your rookie season, that's because she is truly a woman of who her dad was like. Remember the iconic clip of her dad being like, stop complaining, like, stop complaining. And when she's like yapping to the ref, I think it was in college, but that's having an older brother. That's like all of those things, like, you're used to that. True. And I feel like that just it's a credit to her because that's just who she is. Like she expects the kind of performance that she had from herself. So she's like, obviously that's not my highlight. That's an expectation. Yeah. And it's more so kind of like a fun
she's like, I don't really care about all the amazing shit I just did.
I don't want the awards, the accolades.
I remember the pain.
Yeah. I actually remember my eardrum rupturing. That's gotta hurt so
I know.
badly.
I saw her on the sideline. It was not looking good.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh.
Another takeaway that I loved from the 60 Minutes interview was just hearing one of the players, I forget who it was, she was just talking about how, like, you know, I kind of talked about this earlier, but, like, she said that even when you're playing in not on your home field advantage is not for you. You're playing at the other team's court. She's like, even hearing them boo you when you shoot a three, it's just like, yeah, that's what's up. And I thought that was so fun. And she's just like, I don't even care that they're shitting on me right now. Like, I just want that energy because it just brings a competitiveness and it makes for a good game. So
I mean, when you, oh God, there's got to be such a gratifying feeling when you like sink a sick shot and the place is booing you, or like, you know that some of the like noise slips out because it's like, oh, that was kind of sick, but we're not allowed to.
I've done that at the Liberty games before. I'm just like, oh God, I feel so embarrassed after. You know what I mean? When you're trying to like get them to flunk the foul shot, I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, but
I didn't yell hard enough.
That's got to be such a invigorating feeling where you're like, nothing you can do is phasing me. Like, I'm better than you. Oh my God. Like, there's nothing I love more than karma. Truly, like, live for it because it always comes. So just that's why you have to be a good person. But like that karma of just being like, You're going to boo me? That's fine.
You try.
Sink it. Like, oh, God, that's got to be incredible.
Definitely. But that's it for this episode of Well Played, presented by The Skim. Caroline, how do you think we did? This is our first run.
I feel like we did well. I hope everybody likes us. Just kidding. I'm so fine if you don't.
She's not a people pleaser.
Yeah, me? A youngest child? A people pleaser? My God, never. No, but I loved it. It was so fun. I feel like it flew by.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, if I ever am too in-depth on something and you're confused, please ask a question because I'd love to answer it. I'm here for you. I'll be the guide. I'll break it down. I'll give you the definition. Let me know.
She just spoke to the camera, so this is like a true
we're friends now.
moment.
We're friends. You have to lean on me when you need help. Come on, that's what I'm here for. But yeah, I loved it. I'm so excited for the rest of our season. I can't wait to keep watching all of these incredible moments keep unfolding in the sports world. So
also, just to remind our listeners, what's your day job?
Oh, I am a NFL reporter. So actually last Sunday when I was on the sidelines for the Jets-Bronco game, when it was pouring and the forecast said no rain, I was in, what, Caroline? What were you wearing? I was in really cute suede boots that I am afraid are now ruined and a skirt. And was I freezing? Yes. Did I bring my raincoat? Yeah, by chance. So I had the raincoat, but yeah, my soul left my body. When I got home, I was a shell of a human being. So that was really fun.
So basically, if you're going to watch a Jets game, you can maybe catch Caroline on the sidelines, maybe dodging some...
Yeah, if it's a rain game and you see like a gremlin on the sideline, that's me. So yeah, it's very exciting stuff. But yeah, I'll be running back and forth on the sidelines. So hopefully not getting hit by any footballs being thrown my direction. Mm-hmm. But we'll be back next week in studio for yet another episode of Well Played. So make sure you're subscribed to wherever you are listening to the show.
And of course, leave us a review and a rating. Follow us on Instagram at The Skim. And be sure to check out the Well Played YouTube channel where we have full-length YouTube videos of our episodes. Just search Well Played by The Skim on YouTube to see us in the studio. And until next time, thanks for listening to Well Played.
The only podcast in a league of its own.